Hey everyone, let's keep on working with this game. So we've already done the HTML, the entire HTML we're going to be needing for this game. Now as you can see, it doesn't look that fancy. Let's go ahead and style this through CSS and give this some character. So let's go back into Komodo and let's open up our CSS file that I've attached to your resources folder in your game resources. So we have style.css. Let's go ahead and open that up with Komodo edit. And now let's begin styling. So the first thing we want to do is we want to give the entire web page, let me just see if I can open it up. We want to give this entire web page a font family, and we want to give this entire web page the same font size. So how do we do that? We're really going to use the universal selector. Now the way we use the universal selector is through an asterisk, and then we can apply a rule to that. Now this will select all of the elements inside the HTML document and assign it a certain rule. Now, what's the first rule, the first declaration that we're going to be using? Well, we're going to assign a font family. So we want the font family to be entirely the same. So we're going to use Arial, and that will be our font family for the entire document. Now we also want to put a font size that will be the same throughout the entire document until we give a certain or specific tag a certain font size. So we're going to do font size, and we're going to make this 15 points. And that is it for the universal selector. Let's go ahead and work on some other things. Let's go ahead and style the body. Now the body will only have one declaration, and that will be background color. Now let's go ahead and make the background color black. So open up Komodo over here. So background color will be black. Alright. Now let's go ahead and style up this table that we created. So table, now the first rule we want to give it is we want to text align it to be centered. So as you can see, everything here is centered, and let's go ahead and do that. So text align will be centered. Alright, next declaration we want to use is the margin. We're going to set margin as to auto, that way it equally centers things out. Next up, we want to add a border. As you can see, we have a border that's orange that's surrounding this. So let's go and add that border. So we're going to say border will be 5 pixels. And we can add a space. And we want this a solid line. So we want this a solid line, and we can add a space. And now we want to give it a color. So we're going to call this orange. And that will be it for the border. Now next up would be background color. Now the background color of the table is white. So let's go ahead and set that. So background color will be set to white. Alright, lastly, the padding. We want to give everything inside this table a padding between itself. So the padding from here to here, and here to here, and here to here. So let's give this a padding of 2 M units. Alright. Now the 2 M units will be approximately 30 point because we've set a font size 15 point for the universal selector, and 2 M units means we're going to be taking 2 times the size of the current font we've been using, which would be 2 times 15, which would be around 30 points. So let's go ahead and work on the next part. Now let's work on the message. Now if you can remember, we created a message here with the identifier named message. Now let's go ahead and do that. Now just to double check, we created a TD with the identifier message and saying where will you hide. Let's go ahead and style that message just a little bit. So we're going to use pound message in order to find that identifier. Now the rule we're going to create is padding. So padding from the top, we're going to give this 2 M units as well. So 2 M units for padding from the top. Alright, lastly we want to style the day counter. As you can see, we have a day counter over here. So how are we going to style that? Well, let's go ahead and see what we named that. So we gave this a TD with the identifier day. So let's go ahead to CSS and give this pound day. And let's start adding our style. And that will be a different font size. So we're going to give this a font size of 25 points. And then let's go ahead and fix that, 25 points. And then we want to give this a font family of Arial. Let's give that a font family of Arial. And there we go. Now we finished up the entire CSS section for this game. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like. So open up the HTML file, view it in Google Chrome, and there we go. Now we got it working. The only thing that's not showing is the day counter, but we're going to be putting that in through our JavaScript. and we have our message, we have our pumpkins, and we have our labels for the pumpkins. So we're good to go. We're ready to move on to JavaScript and learn how to actually make this interactive and how to make this compute and do computational and be able to make this work. So until then, see you guys in the next one.